All right, welcome back. Today we're just going to continue with taking off more to-dos on our list of tasks that we need to get done. But I wrote down this thing yesterday in my journal, and because I was thinking about like, what am I doing and how can I become better at better as a person. And one thing I wrote down is I've become so good. No, wait. I've become so open to correction that I've lost my conviction. And this is something that I think is important because I value openness to correction a lot in a person. So a person that realizes that, oh, actually I'm wrong, and just accepts that, sort of acknowledges it, and then changes their opinion accordingly. Like, every one of us have things that we believe in. And when we're talking to people, we're going to come up to, or we're going to be faced with things that might put our beliefs into question, where we start to think, well, actually, what they're saying now, they seem to think the opposite of what I think, or they seem to think something else. And what I really value is the type of person who will look at that and start to think like, okay, well, are they right? Is my belief wrong here? Or does their belief make more sense rather? Because there might not be a wrong or right, but the person that kind of is open enough to explore whether they could be wrong or whether there could be a better way to look at things. And I value that so much, I think, that I've sort of lost the other side of it, which is conviction. So that's why I tried to like narrow it down to one single sentence. And the sentence is, I've become so open to correction that I've lost my conviction. So conviction is the opposite, and openness to correction is the other opposite. That they're on two ends of a spectrum. Like, high conviction means you're probably going to be low in openness, if that makes sense. Like, you're not going to be so open to changing your mind because that basically clashes with being convicted or having high conviction in your beliefs. So I think that I've never really thought about this. I've only thought about this as like, well, that is probably just negative. Like, conviction in your ideas is probably, or I haven't really thought about it, to be honest, I think. But I've been very cautious about this part, the openness to correction, and I've tried to develop that a lot so that I really, because the worry that I have, I think, is that what happens if you have the conviction, but you like end up hurting other people because you believe in this thing so hard, or like you're so stuck, you're so convicted with, or I think that's the word, to that idea that you don't notice how that affects other people. Whereas I think if you're low in conviction but high in openness, then you're sort of going to be better for other people. Like, other people are gonna benefit from that, if that makes sense. But it also is a problem in the sense that if you lack conviction in anything, then you sort of, you're always the one to blame, if that makes sense. Like if you're so open to correction, then you're a very easy, not victim, but because you almost like, the way I've felt it is almost like I will take on the responsibility and the blame for things that might, in retrospect or like now, I might think that maybe that's not my problem. Maybe that's not on me, if that makes sense. And the problem is that having the belief of that's not my fault is conviction in your beliefs, if that makes sense. Like conviction in that you know what's right or wrong, and you know that I did not do anything wrong here. So you need conviction in that to be able to say that, or to be able to not take blame for things that aren't actually your fault. And I think I have almost none of that. Like I will get caught up in things, and I will be going down arguments or lines of thinking where I will think that, oh, that's not my fault, and then it turns out that it is my fault. But on the whole, I think my biggest issue is that I'm not convicted in my own ideas. I don't have conviction in my own belief that I am, or that I didn't do anything wrong. So like I'm always so open to correction that even if I feel like that I didn't mean anything bad, I didn't do anything wrong there, it's still because of my high openness to correction, I will easily be able to take the blame for whatever happened, because I will just take it on as like, well, actually, yeah, I could probably have done that better. I could have, and I think I've watched Jocko Willink's extreme ownership thing a lot, and I don't think I fully understand it. I don't think that because the whole quiff, or the whole quip, whatever you call it, is like everything is on you. You're responsible for everything, and you take responsibility for everything. And I've sort of embodied that and tried to really live by that. But I think there's maybe something that's missing. Like maybe he's talking to someone else, if that makes sense. Because there are some people that do not take accountability, that don't take responsibility for anything, that they blame everything on everyone else. And that's not good. But as with everything that I've ever found in life, there's always a balance of things. There's never a black and white situation, or there's never a black and white trait where it's just like, okay, actually, you take responsibility for everything. Just take responsibility for exactly everything. And that's all that you need to do. It's never that easy. But I think that he makes it seem that easy, or the whole thing of like extreme ownership is not based on that you should take responsibility for exactly everything. But the whole thing is like most people don't take responsibility for anything. So by embodying the mindset of like, I will take responsibility for everything. I can affect everything in my life. I'm part of everything that happens. You will then take the person that has no accountability, and you'll move them up that scale, and they might get to a high point of accountability. But if you have a person that's already highly accountable, or like um, already far along on that scale of like, they tend to take on more accountability or more blame than maybe what they deserve, then you add the mindset of like, take even more responsibility to that person, and it's probably not good, because you probably want to be somewhere balanced where you are open enough to correction that if someone raises good arguments and you actually figure out that, okay, I think that they're right, then you drop your conviction and you adopt their conviction that, okay, I did something wrong there. And I think everyone has this, and I think it's a muscle almost that you have to train, because everyone, I think, will recognize this feeling of being in an argument with someone, and then at a certain point kind of realizing that I'm yeah, they've won. Their point makes more sense than what I'm trying to say here. But then you also know the feeling of like kind of continuing, even though you know that you're not actually, I don't know. I try to avoid saying right or wrong, but like that's what I'm thinking. Like you're wrong and you know that you're wrong, but you still keep going in the argument because you're like, maybe I could be right if I just keep pushing. But you've already figured out that you're wrong. And I think most of us have this ability. We do see when we're wrong and when we're right, and even if it's just a feeling that you get where you're just like, oh, I'm doing something weird here. I'm taking this too far now, and I'm no longer sure what I'm even arguing about, and like all these sort of things. I think there's so many signs that everyone feels in their body when they know that they're kind of on thin ice or like not really making much sense. And I think that's a muscle that you train, that you get better at. Like um, if you think of that as a spectrum as well, or like a span, where it's like one person might drop their conviction straight away. They will just like, as soon as they realize that, okay, actually their point is better, I'm wrong, they'll drop their conviction and they'll adopt their conviction. Then there's the person that kind of goes a little bit further and a little bit further, a little bit further. And then there's at the end of the line is like the person that will never drop their conviction, even if they're 100% sure that they're wrong. They don't care about being wrong. They're just not willing to drop their conviction no matter what in that moment. So that's the spectrum. And I think that you want to be sort of, you don't want to be at the start of that spectrum where you just like drop your conviction straight away. I don't know. It's a very hard thing. And that's what I struggle with the most, because it's like, I don't know. Because I always try to think of like, I know I don't know everything. So if someone else says that they feel a certain way, or like I didn't explain something well enough, then I mean, they are right in a sense. Like I could have explained something better. I could have said something different or whatever. And yeah, I don't really know how to develop the conviction or the trust in yourself, in your own, like, I know that this is right. I know that this is wrong. Um, because having that conviction sometimes requires you to go against other people, or like let other people have another conviction. Let's say that you say something that hurts someone and you had no intention of hurting that person, but they were hurt. How do you figure out if they are just maybe too sensitive, they shouldn't have been hurt by that, and it's on them, versus figuring out that no, that was actually on me, that was my fault, I was too blunt, I just told them, hey, you're lazy or something, and I shouldn't have said that. I should have just said, maybe blah blah blah. I should have like put it in a different way, let's say, and that the responsibility of their person's feeling, or that person's feelings, is actually on me. Because I think there are situations where that's true, where it's like you did not say that in a good way, and you didn't really have empathy in the way that you put the thing. So it is fair that that person was hurt by what you said. But then there are situations where it's not fair, where it's like, well, yeah, I couldn't have said it any nicer, and I couldn't have like had any better intentions, but they just misinterpreted what I said and they were hurt by it. And I feel like I'm sort of stuck in taking responsibility and taking blame for that stuff when it's like it's not my fault. I didn't intend to hurt that person, and but they were hurt, and it's not like I couldn't have done anything differently. I tried everything I could, but they still ended up being hurt by it. And it might be on them. It might not be my fault or responsibility that that happened. Um, and a really good example, I think, is the example of like, let's say that I am really insecure about the fact that I show up late to things. Um, or let's say that I'm really insecure about the fact that I eat too much sugar. That's an easier one. Um, I'm super insecure about that. I feel like everyone else is judging me all the time about how much sugar I eat. And then I go to like an after work party thing and someone says, obviously you're going to have cake to me. But that person has no prior knowledge of me. They know nothing about me. If I'm too stuck in my own insecurity and not realizing that my insecurity is kind of coloring everything around me, I will easily blame that person and like put that person or like be hurt by what they said because I'm like, oh yeah, obviously you think I should have cake because you think I eat so much sugar or blah 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 blah. I think everyone knows about this. This is something that happens to a lot of people, and you probably know a person like that. Maybe you even are a person like that. I don't know. But the problem with that person is that the person that said, the person at the after work thing who said, obviously you're going to have cake, who might be the person that made the cake or brought the cake and was like super excited about everyone liking the cake. And then they saw someone come in and they're like, obviously you're going to have cake. That person has like, there's no fault on them for what they said to this person. They could take blame for it. Because obviously, like, you could say that that person, maybe they shouldn't have assumed that everyone wants cake, or maybe they shouldn't have, like, this is, I don't know if this is like completely unreasonable, but this is how my brain works. For me, like, if I was that person, I would start thinking, okay, maybe I should not do it that way. Maybe I should have said it in a different way so that it doesn't assume that this person wants cake. Maybe it's, if I would just asked, like, hey, do you want cake? That could have been better, but that could also have been obviously assumed by that person as like, oh, you think I eat so much sugar, or you think I'm fat, so obviously you think I want cake. And so I think I've taken a lot of responsibility for things and situations like that where I don't consider enough the other person of like, well, maybe that's actually on them. Maybe I didn't really do anything wrong there. They were hurt, but I didn't really, I only said, do you want cake? And their whole insecurity, their whole baggage that they came in with, um, is what hurt them. Like, they hurt themselves essentially. I mean, that's something that I struggle with that a lot. Um, because it comes back to the conviction in my own self being good, or like, I don't know, belief in my own logic. Because again, like, this is me arguing. Like, I'm arguing in my mind, trying to figure out, well, am I the one who did I cause that, or did they cause that to themselves? And I am also acutely aware that this is only my own brain. Like, I'm the only one who's I'm arguing with myself and trying to play devil's advocate with myself against myself. So I know that there is flaws in my thinking. And that means that I also have to be open to, if that person says something to me about why it was my fault, I have to really listen to that more almost than I listen to my own arguments, because I know that, like, I mean, I'm biased. I'm going to be biased towards myself, even though I'm trying not to be. I'm going to be. So my own arguments are going to make total sense in my own head, but someone else's arguments are not going to make as much sense probably. And I have to sort of force value onto their arguments to bring the value of their arguments up to the level of my own arguments in my head, so that I can fairly like compare them, which means that sometimes I will give value to arguments that they might not have value in themselves. And it's very hard to figure out, like, who should I, because I'm the one to decide. I'm the one to decide um, if the arguments that someone else comes up with is valid or not, if I believe in this argument or not, if I think it's a good argument or a bad argument. All of that is up to me. And the knowledge that I'm not going to be perfect, and I'm not a god who knows what's right or wrong, means that I sort of have to assume that they have a point, and really consider whatever point that they're making. And so that sort of makes my conviction suffer, because then the conviction that I have is that, well, I didn't really do anything wrong, but in order for me to remain open to correction, I have to value their point. And it's very difficult to figure out how to value that correctly. And like, how do you, let's say that I, in that situation, decide that, well, I didn't do anything wrong. And I'm just like, tell the person I'm sorry, but I didn't really do anything wrong. Or like, I act as the person who feels like I didn't do anything wrong here. That might make this person even more upset and more blah, 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 because they have all the other issues that they have, and insecurities and all kinds of things that might come into it. And that will mean that my reaction of being convicted in my ideas might increase the uncomfortability of the situation, and might increase their uncomfortability, so that it might make them feel even worse than they did before. Because at least if I say, I'm sorry, I'm so sorry, I didn't mean to, I should have said something different, it was totally my fault, blah blah blah, that might make them feel really good in the moment and like calm them down. Whereas if I'm convicted in my ideas and I stay true to that, I don't know, I guess you don't have to express it either. I can be convicted in my ideas, but still act towards that person as if I'm not, but then just make sure that I don't interact with that person anymore, which might be the best thing. Anyway, long rant, but I hope it's kind of interesting. I think this stuff, to me, it's really interesting. And I like to share this stuff in these videos, because I think it's like, these are things that I think about in my life and and I think it's related to dating apps, and like, how are you in dating, and how are you with another person, and all of these things. So I think it's kind of has a value to share it, and it is related to what we're doing. But I don't know. Okay, so let's just start doing things now. First of all, let's try signing up and then log out and sign in. Okay. So we're gonna try, first of all, when we press the sign in button, then we get this, so we can sign in, but then we can also create an account. So we'll go Sweden. I'm gonna have to not record this, I realize. Maybe I can record now. So 35, 6, 5, 13. 35, 6, 5, 1, 3. All right, and then we'll create an account. So Cal, my birthday, let's say that it's on the 1st. Add profile picture. Actually, let's say that we are a woman, so Natalie. Okay. The interesting thing here is that when we go back, we still have all the stuff still there. That's good. Then we can select our gender. So we are a woman and we're interested in men. And then we can set our location. Let's just set it as New York. And it says New York. All that looks really good. And then we can do about me. We can also go back and be like, oh, maybe we should change our name. No, actually, we got the name right. And everything stays, so we don't have to think about it. I'm looking for... I hate these like autocorrect things because I have to like go into the settings, I guess, of the phone. But it's a simulator, so I don't really want to do that. I'm looking for a man in line dance. See, why is this not the right word? Okay. By creating a profile, you agree to the terms of service. We should probably have a terms of service linked here if we wanted. Write a bit about yourself, your interests, hobbies, makes you unique. Okay, create profile, and then we're in the app. Natalie, 23. The age is not correct. Why does it say 23? Because we set the age to be born in 2000, which would make them 25, which is like 2 years older than this. So why does it say 23? Kind of curious about that. How did it calculate 23? So we're going to see if this is a client-side problem or if it's a front back-end problem. Actually, I'm realizing this should probably be a back-end thing. We shouldn't really calculate the age on the front end. We shouldn't really have a age value of the user. I don't think, because we should just calculate the age of the user. Okay, now I don't know what I'm doing, if I'm breaking things, but we're changing so that we don't have an age variable in our user table, and instead changing it so that we have a date of birth variable, which I don't know why I hadn't done that before, but we hadn't. So now we have a date of birth, which is just a date, and then on the client side, we have a calculation that actually calculates the age based on that date. But we also have, I guess, some things on the back end maybe that uses the age variable, which I think we just changed so that it instead uses the date of birth variable, but I don't really know. So we're gonna have to sign up for the app again and then hope that we can okay. Okay, and then try to run it again. Yeah, we're gonna have to sign up again and see if we can get it to work. And we're also gonna have to create like a fake account with a fake number so that we can then sign up on a second device so we can try like the phone calls and that stuff to make sure that everything works the way that it should. Okay, create account, Sweden, and then I'm gonna have to stop the recording. Okay. Restart the recording. One. Okay, Natalie. Set the birthday as this. "25 years old." That's perfect. It seems like it worked. But now we're gonna have to run it on. Now we're gonna have to create an account that can use. Well, we're gonna have to create a new account, but in order to be able to create a new account, now that we have phone number as the verification method, we're gonna have to set up a fake phone number that can be used to just automatically get to create an account. So I don't know how to do that, so we're gonna ask. And we're gonna stop recording the screen because I'm gonna have to create fake phone numbers that I might continue using. And thus we don't want to accidentally spoil or tell you what the phone numbers are. I guess I don't know if it matters really. I guess it matters more if it's like an account that Yeah, it matters more if it's an account that where you'd pay money for something, but I guess this still is a good idea. Authentication providers. Okay, so now we're going to sign up using that phone number with my phone. All right, now we can try to test a connection. We are recording the screen, yes. So start a connection, just to make sure that we still do get connected. But it seems like we do not get connected. So then the question is, why not? Also, I changed the phone number so that it will end tonight, which will be a few days from this video even being posted. So you won't be able to sign up using this phone number anyway. But we're going to copy the code of this because I want to see. I have a feeling that that there's some sort of issue here. Okay, I think I know what the issue is. Without even looking at the code, I think that what we're doing in this code is we're checking if gender is equal to gender preference. But since we updated the UI to be a little bit more nice, it actually sets the gender to be men with an E, which means that men is not equal to man and women is not equal to woman. So that means that they never get matched because they obviously are not matched. So, okay, here is another issue. From Right, it seems like it's kind of working now. So here we see man, gender is man and preference is woman, and this gender is woman and preference is woman. So if we go to her profile and we change her preference to be men, we save it, then we run this query again. We say woman, man, man, woman. Okay, perfect. So now if we go to start connection, we should be connected into a phone call together. But she's already connected in a phone call. Why is that? Doesn't really make any sense. But I think it's because they end up in a So I think if you go here and then you just go back, you remain in the wait list. Yeah. Okay, so I'm going to test this a little bit to see whether that's true. So now what should happen, I think, is if I press this, I will get connected with her, even though she's not actually looking for a connection. And if I leave and then I start a connection, but then it's like, oh, well, there's no one here. So I go back. What happens is I end up in the queue. So waitlist, it now says that, well, why does it say this? Okay, yeah. So this is where the bug is, which is good. I figured out the bug, I think, which is that when you go into the wait list and you just press back, you don't get removed from the wait list, which you should. So, we're gonna start a new chat because I'm gonna assume that this is gonna run out soon. Okay, so we're gonna test it. We're gonna go into start a connection. Gonna wait for a little bit and go check to see if this guy ends up. Okay, actually end up in a call. How did that happen? Okay, we're gonna try it again, see what happens. Hopefully he doesn't get connected into a phone call. And then we'll see if he's in the wait list. So he is in the wait list. Now we're gonna press the back button, and what should happen is he should not be in the wait list anymore. Still in the wait list, nice. Do not like that. Still in the wait list, perfect. Fuck. Oh my god. Okay. All right, so let's see what happens. We do get added to the waitlist table, I hope. Yes, woman is added. And then we go back. We should get removed. Woman is removed. So I go into the waitlist table. Do I get connected with her? No. I seem not to be connected with her, which is good. And then she goes on to the matchmaking thing, and we do get connected. Perfect. And then we leave. Call. They go back to that. And we double check. Only woman in the waitlist table. Woman go back. Perfect. Now we're going to remove a restriction. And then we'll start a connection so that we can match these two users. And now they are matched. 25, 25. That makes sense. I am 25 apparently. And gender, man, New York, nothing about me. Unmatched does nothing as far as yeah, it does do something. I think we need to change this, because I was like, it took me a long time to figure out which one do I press. Because when you press unmatch, then you get the first thing that you see here is yes, and then no. But what you want to press is yes, because you didn't want to be unmatched, which just doesn't, it broke my brain a little bit. But the question is, press it by mistake, did you? Yes, I did. No, unmatch me. And yeah, so we do need to fix that. Maybe we should just change it to, are you sure? Okay, so let's check what our to-do list is. We've now done this, retried the sign up, which now works the way that it should. Set my age, so we should be able to set our own age, but then we should also have account deletion. So these two need to be dealt with next, I think. But I also believe we're going to call it a day now, because we managed to get a few things done. We managed to tackle a bug that was very important to handle, which was the connection thing, and also now the age thing, so that we actually see the user's age. Otherwise, you're essentially just going to see whatever age they were when last time they ran the app, or when they created the account, because the way that it was set up before, it was basically you set your birth date and then it calculates, oh, this is your age, and then it just saves the age as a number, which means that in 10 years time it's still going to say the same number. So now at least we dynamically update the ages so that it all works the way that it should. You can also set your age, like what age you're looking for in the app, but I haven't really set it up so that we can I haven't set it up so that the actual matching algorithm filters out by age, which we should add, but it's not something that's something that we can do on the back end side. So it's not a huge issue for the release of the app, because the release of the app really only needs to make sure that the front end works. And then if we need to tweak the algorithm on the back end, we can do that whenever, really, and it doesn't affect the front end or whether the app can be published or not. Back end matching algorithm needs to take age span into account. Okay. And location at some point. So these are not super important. And the reason that it's not super important is because we're not even complete. We're not done with the alpha test yet. And this is like stuff that is for the release. It needs to be done. Are you sure? Cancel. Yes, I'm sure. Good enough. Doesn't really look that nice, but git sign up. Okay. So yeah, I guess that's it for this one. I hope you enjoyed it, and I hope I'll see you in the next one, which will be on Wednesday. Thursday. No, Friday. Thank you for watching.